and research-based studio out of Copenhagen and Amsterdam. With a focus on architecture and urbanism and regional strategies. My business partner, Jeffrey Bullhouse, is Dutch. We founded the studio in 2011, and we've been exhibited and published, and we've won awards since our start. But I'm here to talk today about one particular project entitled Theatre of Life and Death. This is a self-initiated research project that came about as a result of an international call for ideas entitled Design for Death by the Lien Foundation and ACM Foundation and the NFDA in Japan and America, respectively. The basic premise of the competition was to look at new ways and solutions of improving the requiem process, and ideally going forward for the death care industry, different ways that they could, I suppose, monetize, but I mean, that was never written. We unfortunately didn't win the competition, but we were shortlisted, and there were several thousand submissions, so we were quite happy with that. Since that period, we've been developing a project, and that's what I'd like to share with you today. Our project seeks to investigate how we can build upon the age-old traditions and rituals of the Requiem Mass that exist and prepare for how that might evolve in the future. There's certainly a lot of truth that when somebody passes away, the bereaved, the family, the loved ones, lie heavily on the traditional rituals and processes in laying their loved ones to rest. We don't see that as radically changing. We don't see a huge departure from this. However, there are international trends based on anecdotal evidence which tend towards the personalization of this experience and also moving away from these requiem masses occurring in the traditional settings of organized religion. For example, in an Irish context, the majority of each requiem mass occurs in your local church or chapel. And these ceremonies have been becoming more and more personalized over recent years, with people adding particular poems or music or psalms or songs or objects. And we're just developing upon that theory. Developing that notion and going forward, there's no notion why the architecture itself can't be more representative of and give a new spatial experience. In that sense, that the actual where you celebrate this Requiem Mass is also personalized for the experience in that way, shape, or form. Our proposal is very simple. We're looking at developing a prototype building, and that can easily become a variety of spaces to respond to a variety of needs. By using established techniques that have long existed in the drama and performance industry, there's no reason why we can't have a space that can be easily manipulated for all the users on a quick and cost-efficient timescale. By using established, a new type of requiem space could be envisaged where we can move walls, drop floors, raise ceilings, and use clever lighting tricks to create a different type of atmosphere in the environment for all the users in question. By using lightweight mobile architectural elements, it allows for an alternative entrance and exit sequences. Ceilings can be raised to enhance the metaphor of passing to the new life. Floors can be lifted to bring in a tiered seating arrangement so that more people can be incorporated with direct view of the celebrant and the casket itself. Quick lighting changes can completely transform the space, and we can even incorporate textures and vapor sprays that can create a custom smell, for example, the sea or the woods reminiscent of the deceased. All these elements can contribute to creating an environment that can be representative of the deceased and an atmosphere that allows the attendants to have a richer and more fulfilling experience. Each element can be controlled manually or automatically, with time and cost of benefits factored in so that the series of different ceremonies can occur back-to-back during the same day. I'd like to just show you quickly a few examples. Obviously, the list of these is exhaustive, so I'll just go through these quite quickly. For example, you can have an open-to-nature setup where all the walls, the external surfaces can be removed so that people can use nature itself as the backdrop for the ceremony, let the wind come through the space, or a traditional tiered, which gives all the mourners equal opportunity to view the casket equally. And then we can maybe move on to some more whimsical, idiosyncratic ideas, where a burial at sea, for example, where water could be incorporated. We'd imagine that this would be very popular in coastal regions. Other examples I'll just quickly pass through are the unprogrammed informal, the idea of a stage where people family members can be present up on top of the stage. Again, the metaphor of moving up through the space. Centralized, where everyone has the equal view. The walls themselves can be compressed so that if it feels as though it's more capacity, even if it's a smaller attendance. The idea of facing, the idea of a catwalk there perhaps. A performance itself where a stage can be constructed and have a proper musical to really send people out with style. A split space where you can have two simultaneously. You can remove the roof entirely, allowing, again, that metaphor I described earlier. And then it gets a little bit ridiculous, the idea of 4 stages where people can have 4 different performers going on simultaneously, an actual indoor burial, and then the idea of the casket hovering above the congregation. Essentially, the Theatre of Life and Death does not propose a singular spatial idea for the experience of the bereaved. It lets the bereaved tailor that to what their needs are. The scheme is envisaged to operate successfully in any built or rural environment by keeping the architecture itself externally as muted, as underplayed, as nondescript as possible. We envisage that this room can slot into any context, be it rural or urban. It's not about creating an iconic piece of architecture, it's about downplaying it and letting it coexist with its neighbours. The building can also be openly positioned or hidden away in a natural setting, while all the time, as a result of its modular nature, it retains the ability to accommodate a wide range of arrangements internally. Incorporating a minimal exterior zone around the building, the theatre can be stitched into any built environment, from a normal urban context on a high street to being the only built facility on a graveyard space, to the middle of an urban park. And because of its massing, it can slot neatly into a typical residential scenario. Again, the streetscape, but concealed cleverly with setbacks, allowing lights to permeate down into the deep plan itself. And even floating out, accessed by a jetty, so it's sitting on water. Again, the rural idea, the theatre can sit ideally in a forest, a clearing, on a beach overlooking the water, or even at the top of a hill. This understated exterior also heightens the sense of wonder when a building is in use and is transformed into something new and wholly different to represent the life that is being celebrated. Through the utilization of existing projection techniques, the facades of the building can change nature and express a particular character to suit different ceremonies, be it traditional, solemn, jovial, or festive, or anything in between. In this way, the Theatre of Life and Death not only allows for the possibility of private internal experience, but also creates the possibility for the externalization of the ceremony. This can be enhanced by opening the facades onto the neighbouring context to become a position of prominence on a public square. This allows the occasion to become part of the public realm, if this is the wish of the departed or the bereaved. There is huge potential here for the bereaved to have a public celebration of their loved one's life or an intimate private ceremony. In this way, the Theatre of Life and Death can also have significance as a true public building, as we intend for it to initiate discussion on how and the possible change of how society views and deals with the processes relating to death and departure. Thank you very much for your time.